Alright, we're still here tonight at the Shout Climate Change, and they say shout now or
never.
Never. And this is, please let the people know who is standing before them.
Professor Fode Moriba Jawad, Minister of the Environment.
Minister of the Environment, who is having the responsibility to take care of our nation's environment, if I'm right.
Correct.
So, in taking care of the environment, in achieving the goal of the national climate change, what are the measures you think we regular general citizens need to put to support what the ministry is doing?
I think the first thing we have to do is to make a swift change of attitude in dealing with the environment.
Okay.
All the time people treat the environment as it is not important. And what is happening now, you see people cutting down trees, you see people just dropping trash all over the place. That's not good for the environment. And the saying goes, if you don't take care of the environment will not protect you.
We tend to understand that a lot of people cutting the trees are using it for businesses like the coal businesses, which they're using to make their livelihood. And now we're saying they shouldn't cut the wood. How do we persuade them from not doing that? Because they want to make money.
That's a very good question.
They don't care about what happens to the people.
That's a very good question.
So how do we tackle that kind of problem?
Thank you very much. That's a brilliant question. It's a two-pronged approach. One, you want to stop them from cutting down the trees. And then, if they stop, what are you going to do to them? Alternative livelihoods come in there. Now, let me start. If you don't cut down the trees, to make charcoal, for example, people are there who are using charcoal. So you are depriving those people from using charcoal.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do for them? Now, this is what we want to do. A lot of people, let's take the Western area for example. Okay. Only about 7.2% of people are using LPG, the liquefied petroleum gas. Okay. 72.8% are using charcoal.
That's
huge. So we want a shift from using charcoal to using LPG. Take note, only 7.2% people are using LPG. So if we want to increase LPG usage, what are we going to do? Let's bring the price of LPG down.
Oh, yeah.
A bag of charcoal is about 45,000, 50,000, depending on where you are, Leon. And the gas of cylinder of LPG is about 120,000.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that means about 2.5 bags, cost of 2.5 bags of charcoal, we buy you one LPG gas of cylinder. Yeah. Now, if you bring the price of the cylinder gas to about 60,000, 70,000,
it's going to be affordable.
It's going to be affordable, and people, it's cleaner and it's quicker, it's more efficient.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the shift we want to do. But how are we going to do this? Maybe we can say, let's have some relaxation on taxes. Okay? Tax waivers, for example, or GST. When we are going to COP26, we did a lot of projects, and that's one of the projects. So if we get enough money, we can give incentive to people who want to import the LPG. So they can import it at cheaper rate. Or once they import it, we can buy it from them and they sell at cheaper rate to the customers. Does that make sense?
That's so amazing, and it's a very smart approach.
Carbon in the environment, because the plants serve as sink. They absorb, they sequester the carbon onto them. Okay, and they give out oxygen. So it's a two-pronged approach. They give out oxygen, we need oxygen.
Definitely.
And they take in carbon dioxide, we don't need it. And once they take it in, they reduce the carbon dioxide in the environment. So global warming will be reduced. No more higher temperatures.
Thank you very much. It's good to have you, and we really appreciate you. This beautiful woman, what's your name?
I'm Kathleen, and I'm the British Deputy High Commissioner.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you, and can I know who you are?
Yeah, certainly. I'm Kobe Bentley, and I'm the Development Director at the British High Commission.
Oh, it's so good to have both. Okay, three major things that is needed to be done to have an effective climate change in Sierra Leone.
Sure. So I think there's a number of things, but if I was going to pick three, I think one of them is reducing the dependence on fossil fuel. You know, a lot of the power here is created through diesel generation. In the cities, in the rural areas, it's through burning of trees to make charcoal. Both of those have kind of quite important consequences for climate and for the environment. I think another one is to really think about climate smart adaptation of agriculture. We know that agriculture is so important important for Sierra Leone, but how do we make sure that it's resilient to climate change and that it's sustainable and that it can provide good livelihoods for those farmers? And then a third one is to really think about how you get climate change and environmental issues mainstreamed across all of government plans and policies. So you're always looking at the risks and you're always looking for the opportunities when you're making decisions.
That was so brilliant of you.
John, look, I mean, I think one of the really important things to think about is that everyone can make a difference.
Oh yeah.
So whether you're a small child who just remembers to pick up their rubbish and not throw it away, whether you're a government minister like Professor Jawad over there who's making big laws and policies, everyone has a role to play, and it's important that we all play that role going forward.
Thank you very much, really appreciate it.
Somebody can go into a protected area, poach an animal, so you can go to a protected area and cut down a tree and you'll be fined 50 cents. That doesn't make sense. So the Forestry Act, the Wildlife Act, the Meteorology established to avail itself in going through all those areas. That's the cases to handle. Now we have an environmental empowerment, and that is very, very important. I see a lot of ladies here, and my peers is a lady, and most of the staff at that ministry are women. Why? Because this is very, very important, and that is the vision of His Excellency the President, that women play a major role in this.
Ladies and gentlemen, when a priest to your elbow, thank you very much. That was the Minister of Environment. We will continue as we draw close to the end of the speech-making side of things, because we want to move on to the actual record.
Distinguished ladies, for this important gathering, for organizing this meaningful event to enhance President Julius Maada Bio and the Sierra Leonean government and people. The Sierra Leonean government and people, and this is highly commendable. As one of the major countries in the world emphasizes on green development, President Xi has repeatedly in formulating, together with other international partners, in the region of the Paris intensity reduction and achieve transition from carbon peak to carbon neutrality within 30 years. China will keep its words. Actually, the African countries and ministerial conferences under the South-South cooperation agreement.
Walter Nekanda Gilpin, MD, Roka Commercial Bank.
Roka Commercial Bank, MD. It's nice to have you here tonight. And we're talking about national climate change. Creating the ambassadors, the recognition ambassadors. What do you think that how do you think that could help to promote climate change in Sierra Leone?
Well, really, what we're seeing happening in Sierra Leone right now is a result of probably devastation of the forest, cutting down of the trees, and therefore having excessive wind storms like we had the other night. And we're also realizing that we're having a lot of erosion and therefore debris right into the ocean. And if we continue to deforestize the place, and if we continue to lack attention to detail as far as climate is concerned, then we're really eroding the possibility of having a safer environment in the future. So this kind of this type of activity, and with us being involved, I mean, as a bank and ordinary citizens, we've got to make sure we plant the trees again, we get the environment growing again, we look at the fauna and the flora, and most of all, we have a hard environment around where we stay.
Thank you very much. Well, we stay here tonight at the Climate Change Africa, and beside me is this beautiful young lady, and I'm sure she's from...
I'm from the British High Commission. I'm the private sector advisor there.
Oh, it's so good to have you around tonight. And what's your name?
Christina.
Christina. And you, madam?
My name is Emma. I'm the Deputy Head of Mission at the Irish Embassy here.
Oh, it's good to have both of you here. And tonight we're talking about climate change. And a lot of people out there are really not in the understanding of what we're talking about. To them, it's, what are they talking about? It's like fallacy. except we are able to bring it to the simplest way for the common people to have an understanding. We're talking about climate change that has to affect some means of livelihood of some people, and we expect them to take it. They aren't going to take it, except we bring it to a very simplest way for them. And those are the questions we need to know. What are the main simplest way you think can be taken to the simple Sierra Leonean that will support the effect of climate change, please?
I think that's a great question. My answer would be that it already affects everyone in different ways, but even with the current policies of the government, it's really pertinent to include climate change there. So one is, for instance, on energy. Access to energy is one of the policies of the government, and more than 80% in the country are still needing more access to energy themselves. So looking at renewable energy here, so solar mini-grids, and finding other solutions like hydropower are going to be extremely important, even for every single person, to ensure that ETSA can continue to provide energy for them, even when the fuel externally becomes too expensive. Similarly, on agriculture, we have this changing rain patterns, so having agriculture and seedlings that actually sustain the changing weather patterns, so having climate smart seedlings, is really, really important also for food security in the country, to ensure that everyone can continue to eat in the country. So that's what I would say.
Thank you very much. That was smart. And what would be your advice, or what would be your means of reducing the burning of emission in the country? And how do you think we can effectively campaign the climate change to the simple Sierra Leonean?
Yes, and I think there's two elements to the question. I think in terms of what we can do to reduce emissions, there's so much work going on to assist agricultural sector in bringing in more sustainable farming methods. Sierra Leone is very proud agricultural communities around the country, but there's more sustainable methods that can be introduced that will enable farmers to be able to farm different crops, a crop variety that they can depend on into the future. So I think we are supporting many programs in that regard, and we will continue to do that to empower farmers around the country. And I suppose in terms of education as well, I think it's important right from primary school level all the way up to introduce climate change education into students' minds. We see young people as the voices for change around the world, and I think as the next generations go on, long after us, they will be the voices that will be able to bring about responsible practices and change things for the better. So I think between education will be a really important step going forward. So.
Thank you very much. And for this, as you can see, there is ambassador recognition that is presently ongoing, choosing ambassadors for the climate change to go out there to campaign. How do you think that could help the process?
Oh, it's extremely important to really recognize success, but then also to be sort of at the same time really know that we still have a very long way to go. So I think both is really important. We're coming here together, and we've had a lot of good voices tonight where we knew that we have come relatively far already, but there's still a very long way to go to really ensure that we're all doing our part to change sort of tackle climate change for the weather.
Thank you very much. It's good to have both of you around. I mean, OSHMONEY, and it's good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I got this beautiful woman right beside me. She's going to introduce herself. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, could you please introduce yourself?
My name is Nasu Fofana. I am a national women and girls' rights advocate. I am an entrepreneur and a woman who is very much interested in the issues of climate change and how they affect women and girls in particular.
I'm sure right now is the best person who is standing with me is the best person to ask the right question of God. We're talking about climate change, and the climate change has got to affect a lot of Sierra Leonean, especially a lot of poor Sierra Leonean, because their source of livelihood is based on what affects climate change. They make money from cutting with the wood down, making firewood, making charcoal and all that. And now we're campaigning about climate change. How do we think those people will subscribe to what we're talking about?
I believe it is really not as difficult as people think.
Wow.
I think the reason is...
You've got to sort it out.
Well, I have worked in a number of areas to be able to say what I'm saying.
That's amazing.
I believe that what we should do as a country is to engage from the onset. They should inform us. rather than us writing policies and prescribe policies that will affect their livelihoods. Nobody wants to die, nobody wants to have disasters. And so if they know, if they have the information, and if they can give us information that we don't know, we are bound to be able to see the impact on them and as well as the climate go down. But if we don't talk to them and we just feel like it is impacting them, what they know is what they know. They get firewood. Do they have solar?
Yeah, best of
Do they have energy? Who is talking to them? Maybe they have more proactive ways that will help the country more than us sitting at the policy decision tables just making prescriptive policies for them to implement. So I think the lack of ownership is where we are going a little bit wrong. If you want me to benefit from something, I must be part of that from the onset.
Thank you very much. That was so amazing and that was so simple. And you believe our Sierra Leonean brothers and sisters can support us making this come to limelight?
We are already doing that. In my awards acceptance speech, I spoke about my grandmother who had so much influence over me. And during school, I used to go there. I never used to know what toilet roll was. Okay? I used water. I grew up using water and leaves in the bush.
Oh yeah, that was how we grew up.
Exactly.
I remember that.
So, but then they thought it was primitive. Today, so climate change is not a high order. Climate change is something that our forefathers, our foremothers have been practicing. It is a way of life.
Short Climate Change Award tonight at Radisson Blue, and here is Mr.
Rashid Toure, CEO of Rash Construction and General Merchandise.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you around.
Same.
And I'm sure you have enjoyed yourself at the event tonight.
Of course, definitely.
So, looking at the event all around, what really can you say about it?
Well, it's really great because this part of the world, we don't know the value of environment. We have the landscape, which I can tell you. We have, Sierra Leone is a beautiful place. If we can protect our environment, that is one of the key things we can do. And it's really beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
It's good to have you.
Thank you then.
You're welcome. Here tonight at the Radisson Blue for the Short Climate Change Award, and here is Mr.
Ibrahim Tunkara from
Mr. Ibrahim. Can you please come closer? All right, you said Mr. what?
Ibrahim Tunkara from IPAM.
From IPAM, or you student of IPAM, or you a lecturer, or a professor?
A student of IPAM.
Now you're talking. What are you studying?
Public sector management.
You're here tonight to represent your school or represent yourself?
To represent, I came on behalf of my school.
That's amazing. You came alone or you came with your fellow colleagues?
I came with colleagues.
And where are they?
20, they are inside.
Oh really? But you're the head?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So, and you came for the program. How do you see the program?
Yeah, it's nice. It was really nice and educative. I think we learned a lot, especially from the submission from the different ambassadors and especially from the Minister of Environment. That was a good initiative by the President to establish a ministry of such that will take care of our environment.
And from what you've learned today, how do we transform the nation? How do we transfer the information to others as a student?
I think as a student, it is a new phenomenon that when you teach one, the one will teach another one to teach everyone. That's a good thing. Like for Sierra Leone, we have a distinct, let me say, tropical climate with a distinct two seasons. We have the rainy season, the dry season, of course. But we are enjoying neither of the two because of our actions to the climate. Our actions or inaction. Because if we fail to take the right action, that will affect us. Because when it comes to the dry season, we complain so much because of the increased temperature at night, and during the rainy season as well, we are so worried about, let me say, flooding because of our actions towards the drainage in our country.
So how do you think we can make a change in Sierra Leone?
I think we can make a change collectively if we all put hands on deck to see to it that we change our mindset, we be, let me say, lovers of nature, and we ensure that we keep our city and environment clean at all times.
Individually, how can you make a change?
I think, it's you, individually, how I can make a change is by adhering to all the mechanisms that are put in place to ensure that we keep our environment safe.
So, if I may ask you, have you been adhering to that?
Perfection is not in humanity, so let me say I've been trying.
And you need to try more.
Yeah, I'll try more.
Because having a better environment is for all of us.
Yes.
And it's your responsibility as a student to ensure you pass information through your colleagues.
Yes.
It's good to have you around, and we appreciate your coming.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So at the climate change advocate tonight at Radisson Blue Hotel, Sierra Leone, Freetown to be precise. And here I am with this beautiful lady. Hello, what's your name?
Juliet Steiner.
And you're from where?
Freetown.
What organization or institution do you represent?
Youth Empowerment Program.
Oh, Youth Empowerment Program. And it's good to have you here. Especially when we're talking about climate change, it has to do with a lot of youth. So how do you think we can use your platform, or how have you been using your platform to campaign in
my community to plant trees? And we need to educate them more, because this is how it has to go. They need to be educated to give them that drive, and also to support them, not only morally, but financially.
But now that we've been planting trees, are we working towards people that are cutting the trees that has been planted?
Well, it's a pity. As I said, it's all down to education. You have to educate the people to tell them, cut trees, that's the end of the earth, that's the end of the universe. They have to be, educated.
So what is the simplest form of education that can be given to the common Sierra Leonean to adhere to climate change?
Well, media.
Media, one.
They have to teach that at school.
Two.
It has to be. And this is it.
Oh, thank you very much. Alright, still here in Sierra Leone at the Radisson Blue Hotel, South Climate Change, and here is Mr.
Samuel Roland Mines
from
the Career Points Organization,
and you are here to
witness the climate change empowerment.
And have you witnessed this?
Yes.
And how was it?
It was incredible, amazing, because
all over 10.
Yeah, because
all over 10.
Excuse me?
All over 10.
Yeah, 10 over 10.
Are you sure?
Yeah, sure.
8 over 10?
No, 10
9
over
10.
10 over 10.
10 over 10.
10 over 10.
That's amazing. Did you learn tonight?
Yeah, I learned.
What did you learn actually?
I learned a lot about the climate impact, which actually I saw with people contributing towards that, because if we are not taking responsibility towards our actions for the environment, I guess before 2030 we will destroy the environment.
So how do you intend to transfer the information you have gotten tonight and adding value to the climate change?
Well, I'm already working towards implementing what I already learned today, because I'm working towards achieving the global goals, and I think that my best way now, which I came and understand more today, is by enlightening and giving more education about climate action.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate that, and we hope you're going to do exactly what you promised to do, because changing the nation for better is for all of us. It's good.
Oh, Victoria.
Victoria what?
Jones.
Victoria Jones. She's a student of
College of Medicine.
College of Medicine in Dubai.
In Sierra Leone.
Now you're talking. And we're here tonight to do what?
We're here tonight to recognize some of the ambassadors who are so passionate about the environment and the climate in general.
So if you may tell us, how many ambassadors are we recognizing tonight?
I think it's 10.
Don't think, you're part of the organizing.
10, more than 10.
About 10 or
yeah,
more than 10?
About 10.
About 10
yeah.
ambassadors.
Yes, please.
And what are those ambassadors gonna be doing?
They are going to try to help for all of us in the world to have a very good and peaceful environment.
Starting from Sierra Leone.
Starting from Sierra Leone and all across African countries, because our organization is for Africa. It's climate change Africa.
That's
not
amazing.
only Sierra Leone,
That's
but
amazing.
Africa.
And what have you learned tonight from the show? From the event tonight? What did you learn?
Well, I learned that there are so many people who are passionate about the environment as a whole. And because nature is so pure, it has so many resources and everything. So we have to give to nature for nature to give, because nature is already giving us so much. So we have to make sure to preserve its purity.
Okay, thank you very much. That was amazing to hear from you. And how did it stress you people as a team to put up this event?
Really, it was really stressful, really stressful. From going to offices, booking a meeting, doing this, doing that, printing and all of that is really stressful.
But now the outcome, what will you say?
I can say we thank God it was successful. More than the previous one we have previous years is successful.
So you love it more than ever?
Yes, I love it. Like every year we are going bigger, stronger and greater.
So who do you want to say shout out to in the office?
I want to say shout out to the CEO, our boss Mr. Phoenix. He's so passionate about the environment as a whole. He has worked and stressed us and do all of this for a good cause.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Yeah.